Hey y'all, guess what time it is? That's right, it's time for another update video. Thank you again for helping me reach 300,000 subscribers. This legitimately means a lot. I know I don't upload very often, and that's largely because YouTube really isn't my primary presence. But, all the same, I do genuinely appreciate it. To be totally honest, I'm kind of at a weird spot, personally, when it comes to creative stuff. My webcomic is on hiatus for an undisclosed amount of time until I can get things sorted out, and I don't really have anything more to prioritize on this channel, as my priorities lie elsewhere. YouTube, after all, is only a fraction of my online presence. That all said, I do have another D&D video planned in the pipeline, one that, instead of being a story, will be more about the mechanics and thematics element of the game. And don't worry, unlike the last D&D video, it'll actually be animated and won't be an art time-lapse, because eventually you guys kinda hate those. On a tangent, I also do need to say again, please stop asking me for Hero 3. I am not working on it, I don't have plans to work on it. Forcing a sequel for the sake of a sequel is how you drive a series into the ground, and if there will be a sequel, you will hear about it from me first. Just trust me. Until then, please don't assume that I am working on one. Please stop asking me. Please. Please. Anyway, that about concludes the updates for this channel, but I also do have a product review that I have merged into this video that I didn't want to do completely as a standalone video because that would kind of feel a little bit to do immediately after hitting 300,000 subs. So anyway, if you only cared about the updates, you can click off now, but otherwise, if you're interested in the Tourbox Pro, here's a short review. Tourbox sent me their Tourbox Pro, a small device meant to expand your key inputs for your media programs. You know those little keypads that some gamers like to use that have like WASD and things like that all within short reach of your fingers? It's similar to that, but it's built for media programs such as Clip Studio Paint, Photoshop, video editing, etc. Note as well that this review is 100% my own opinion. They are not paying me to say any of this, though they did send me the product, so I have to check off that one option on the YouTube upload page all the same. But I didn't get any money for this. I'm trying to be as honest and unbiased as possible. So, at a glance, the Tourbox looks like a fidget toy. All the buttons on the Tourbox Pro are uniquely shaped, so you're easily able to determine what it is you're pressing to help reduce misclicks. And I also do have to say clicks because the buttons feel more like clicky mouse inputs than they do regular keys, which isn't a bad thing, just an observation. Over a regular numpad, it also offers 2 dials and a scroll wheel. In total, there are also 11 buttons available. And the software for the Tourbox is very solid. It's very easy to bind what you want, even on the fly, and it's relatively intuitive. Despite only having 11 buttons, you can also bind different inputs to button combos to massively expand the options available. If you're doing this, I would probably recommend not binding anything to those keys by themselves, as it will wind up activating the inputs of the parts as well as the whole. So, that greatly expands what you can input, however it's not without limitation. Some key combos are outright unavailable. For instance, you can't bind the tall or the short buttons with the directional inputs despite the fact that they are right next to each other and would be super easy to press. In addition, the dials also lack any tactile feedback, so trying to bind them to anything that requires any form of precision isn't practical. One button that frequently comes up in the key combos as well is the side button, which is in a very unfortunate spot. Being on the side of the device, the only way you can reliably hit it is if you fully commit your hand to the device, and this is where I kinda start running into a lot of personal gripes with this thing. The Tourbox is a great device if you plan to use it to replace your keyboard or express keys on your tablet entirely. If you want to use it in conjunction with these, where your hand moves on and off periodically, its usefulness is drastically cut. They really expect you to fully commit to this thing. And that's kind of where I start running into issues. As a bit of a double whammy, some of the programs where I'd love to have more available inputs, such as Toon Boom, where my keybinds look like this, it's just not well supported. I'm able to bind some of the useful commands to buttons still, but like the dial I can't really use in Toon Boom at all. And to be fair, the Tourbox was not advertised as being useful in Toon Boom. It's meant to be used in things like Photoshop, CSP, Premiere, mainline programs. But it is something still worth noting. Is it a bad product? No. It's robustly designed, the software is excellent, which is a huge advantage, especially because you can bind whatever you want to it. However, given its cost, it is a very, very tough sell, one made tougher if you plan to use it with your keyboard instead of to replace it. If you're not somebody who regularly uses keybinds, this might be a lot more useful for you. just given its ease of setting up, and because it's all unique keys, you don't have to think as much about what key you're pressing. You can just feel it out because each key feels different. But if you're somebody like me who already uses a bunch of keybinds and was hoping that this could just expand your use more, it's gonna kind of fall short. And admittedly, it is competing with normal little numpads that you can just plug in via USB. So overall, this wasn't a product for me, but you know yourself better than I do. So if you think this is something that would be very useful for you, there is still a link to the store page in the description. Anyway, that's about all I have to say on this, and that's about all I have to say for the video. Goodbye.